Kurt, are you aware that you're a fan favorite out there? That Clemson love Kurt Fleming?
No, sir. I don't really watch TV or go on the internet that much because, good and bad stuff's going to be written on there, and I love playing football, so I go out there and just play it. I mean, it's not really for all that stuff, but if I'm a fan favorite, I appreciate it because I love all the fans that come to all our games, and they're cheering for me. That's a plus.
Talk about the mentality that you have when you run the football. It looks like you run angry.
Ever since growing up, I have two older brothers that pick on me all the time, so I had to develop that mentality a little earlier. My dad was an Army brat. My granddad was in the Army for 27 years, so there was no really gray area with us growing up, so we had a lot of competitive stuff going on. And our pickup basketball games usually turned into fist fights. So that's usually where that mentality comes from. I mean, growing up, my favorite running backs were usually the big power backs like John Riggins. Earl Campbell was my favorite running back of all time, Mike Allstott, Jerome Bettis. So I've always, even when I was 165 pounds my freshman year of high school, I still ran like that. Now I might not got the same results, but that's how I ran.
Talk about the nice bruise you got.
Oh, that came from that hit on that safety. My helmet buckled down on me a little bit. It was a little cracked after the game. Nothing wrong with it.
About the journey for you getting here, Kurt. It's been kind of an interesting ride, hasn't it?
Yes, sir. I mean, I feel very blessed to have the journey that I had. Got drafted in the 8th round by Atlanta Braves right out of high school, which was always a dream. I felt like part of my dream would become reality. I mean, your true dream is to make it to the big leagues, but getting drafted is part of that. So I felt like it halfway been fulfilled. And we weighed the options when I came out of school, and I was like, well, I can always go back to college and play football when I'm a little older. I mean, Chris Winkie and all them did it. So I was like, well, I'll give that a shot before I come back. Because if I'd have gotten hurt in college and I never got drafted again, I would have missed out on that opportunity. So, I mean, it's been awesome. I mean, only 1,400 kids get drafted each year, and now I'm on a team where only 118 kids in the entire U.S. get to participate in what I'm participating in right now. So it's a lot of fun.
Mentality for you, obviously different in the locker room. As a guy who's much older and you see the younger guys on the team and how they act, how do you deal with that or handle that?
Most of the time I just ignore it. I mean, there's, even at our age, even some of the seniors, and me included, we act a little childish sometimes. They bring us down a little sometimes, but most of the time we stay mature, and it's just part of it. I mean, when I got drafted and I was 18-year-old playing pro ball, I mean, I acted pretty much the same way as them coming into a top 10 program and acting the way they do. So I understand it, and I've learned from it. So.
Besides that toughness, is that something you bring to the team besides that?
The toughness I bring to the team, but I feel like I can bring some experiences that the freshmen, I can talk to them about, and they don't have to go through the same things I've been through. So I feel like I bring a little maturity and experience to the team. Yes, sir.
How does the long grind of a minor league summer baseball-wise kind of compare to, playing 15 games or however many games of football season and preparing each day?
Well, I mean, the thing people don't realize about baseball is that, sure, you're playing baseball and it's not real physical, but 148 games with only 4 off days, plus spring training where there are no off days, and about 100-degree heat during the summer, depending on where you're playing at, it gets to be a grind because during the season you would wake up probably around 10 o'clock, eat breakfast, eat lunch, go to the field around 2 o'clock because you got to be dressing on the field at 3:30. You got practice, BP, come in, eat dinner, go back out, stretch, play the game from 7 to 7:30 till about 10:30, 11. Eat at Waffle House because that's pretty much the only place open at that time, unless the team has dinner for you. And then wake up, do the exact same thing next day. And then if you have to go on the road, you got a 16-hour bus ride and you play that next day, no matter if you get to the field at 1 o'clock that day. So, I mean, it is that mark. It's probably more of a mental grind because you're so tired all the time. But in football, I feel like it's more of a physical grind because every single day you're inflicting contact with somebody, so you're going to have bumps and bruises and sore in places that you didn't think you'd get sore at. So, I mean, on the same level, it's a grind, but it's a different type of grind.
Talk about the differences in accommodations between minor league and major college football.
A lot different. I mean, minor leagues, people automatically assume when you get drafted you make it to the big leagues, but there's 7 levels underneath that you have to go through, and if you start at the bottom, you're at the bottom. You stay in hotels. One hotel we stayed at had wasn't the nicest hotel. in some shady areas. I mean, the places I stayed at, my apartments they're only like $300 a month because I didn't stay in very nice places because I had to save money because you weren't making that much. And to come here and then we stay at these fancy places. I mean, the locker room's huge. The stadium's seats 87,500 people. I mean, it's ridiculous compared to what I went through in the minor leagues. But once you make it to the big leagues in baseball, you get treated the exact same way. It's just I never had the opportunity to make it up that far, experience that.
Has had a need for a power back for a few years now. You look like you can fit into that role. What do you have to do for the coaches to trust you more, to put you in those big situations?
Well, I just feel like I have to keep learning the playbook and relearning football. I mean, that's my first game, my true football game I've played in since my junior year of high school, so it's been 6 years. So, I mean, just that aspect of it and the experience and relearning football all over. I feel like mostly Saturday was more of me just taking handoffs and running the ball. I mean, my vision, I got to get better with my vision, ball security, obviously, and I let that one slip away from me. But just overall, relearning the playbooks and football, the steps, because, I mean, playing center field, some of the steps are the same, but the footwork's different. I mean, footwork's obviously going to be different for running back than it is center fielder. I mean, it's just relearning everything. So I feel like I could be put in those situations, and I feel like I can fulfill the role as a power back, but I just need to keep furthering myself along the learning line.
We have to, speaking of learning, we have to ask the question, what happened the other day on the fumble? What did you do right?
I felt like I had a good day up to that point. I was really let down that I let the team down and giving up the only score of the evening and ruining the defensive shutout. But I guess I'll just take it as a learning experience that even if I get a little gassed and somebody hits me in the stomach with the helmet, I got to keep the ball tight to my body. Because the way I run is a little bit harder, so the ball tends to get away from me because I'm pushing off people and trying to hit people. And I let it get out a little too far when I went down, and the guy came up and made a good strip. I mean, no takeaway from him. I was going down, and he ripped my arm out that way. So it was a good play by him, too, on both sides.
Any of your defensive teammates give you a good-natured hard time about that after the game or the last couple of days?
Well, good-natured, yes. I heard a lot about it, but it's over now. I can't change it. If I would, I could, but I just got to learn from it.
How much did the rewind film keep backing up every time they showed that fumble? I mean, how many times did it back up?
I only watched it once. I closed my eyes.
And I hate to say that somebody would be lonely in a stadium with 80,000 people, but I saw you go over to the bench. Did you feel alone at that point?
Yeah, I felt a little let down. And I felt like I let everybody down, and it's just one of those things. It'd be like striking out, bottom of the ninth, and winner runs on third, and you're the guy that can do it, and then you just get punched out looking. And you're like, why didn't I swing at that? So, I mean, that's how I felt. I just got to learn from it.
What do you see your role going forward now?
Well, that's not really my decision. Hopefully I get a couple more carries, but if I'm ready, he'll put me in. If not, then he'll keep me out until I'm ready. So we'll just figure that out as we go along, I guess.
Do you think you could be a force down in the red zone on the goal line?
I mean, I feel like I could. I mean, any man worth his salt feels like he could be that guy that gets in the end zone for everybody to cheer at. But, I mean, if he gave me the ball, I'm going to work my hardest to get them 3 yards if he needs it for me.
With Cooper being out, did you become more that H-back kind of blocker guy for him right now?
I mean, there's some sets where I block as a fullback / H-back, whatever you want to call it. But our tight ends are good enough that they filled that role Cooper left behind. He's going to come back and fill in again. So if they need me, I'll be there. If not, then we're set.
Baseball-wise, were you ultimately released? Did you just finally decide, okay, enough's enough, I'm retiring, or how did it all kind of end baseball?
I mean, I kind of knew it was coming along. I got released, but I wasn't really mad about it. I know it's a business, and I'd already made up plans just in case it had happened. And as soon as I got released, I called my father. I got flown home, and I started lifting heavy weights again to get ready for football because I knew that's what I wanted to do next was go back to college, get my degree, and play football.